most of us are trying to control the script of our lives, like the details of our lives, right? And the idea of controlling the script versus controlling like the story that you're telling about the script is something that I learned from Tufti the Priestess, which is free on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description. A very I don't know what you want to call it. It's a wild ride to listen to it, but it's an interesting like philosophy on reality that is based off of transurfing, reality transurfing. So anyways, it's this idea that the details are really like not your business, but it's your what story you tell about the details. So I realized that I have been telling the story that this person in my life who is challenging is like doing something cruel to me and doing something cruel to people that I love, okay? And I realized that in the script, they're acting out these certain behaviors that give me the opportunity to question myself because they're questioning me, okay? So they're like, oh, you're for example, a bad parent, okay? And so then I get to receive that and consider, okay, am I a bad parent? Do I feel like I'm a bad parent? All right. And originally, when I experienced this, I would be like, oh my God, that's so mean. They shouldn't be telling me that. I am not a bad parent. They're telling me I'm a bad parent. I'm not a bad parent. They're being cruel, right? And I had them as like this analogy was so powerful when I realized it. I had like cast them as Ursula. So I was telling the story that they were like Ursula to my Ariel. Like, I'm Ariel and I'm just out here like trying to love Eric, and Ursula's like out here manipulating me and like getting in my way and being cruel and telling Eric shit about me and like taking my voice away and my freedom away. And like, why is Ursula so mean? And then I realized this past week, thank God, because the Ursula in my story did something that was like really wild, and it really like jacked me up for a minute. And then I was like, oh, okay, you are here to be like, hey, Ariel, like, do you actually want to speak up for yourself? Like, do you actually want to just like say, I want to be with Eric and I want to go try out being a human? Like, do you want to just actually say to your father and let him be mad? Like, you can do that if you want, but if you want to be all manipulative and shit, then like I can help you with that and I can jack you up in the head and take away your autonomy. Would you like to do, which one would you like? And I've been like, yeah, jack me up and take away my autonomy and make it manipulate me and make me feel like a crazy person and question everything I know. And all I have to do is be like, oh, you know what, Ursula? Thank you. I am like making this way more complicated than it needs to be. I would like to try being a human, so I'm gonna go try that. And it might not work out, but like I don't need to do all this drama around it, you know? And every time she comes back at me with the like, hey, but I could take your voice, but like, hey, I could make it like so you don't have to actually confront your dad, like, hey, I can like promise you something and then jack you around, I can be like, oh, you know what, thank you so much for the offer, and that's a good reminder. Like, I'm actually not interested in doing that. I'm going to deal with the fact that I was born with a tail, and I am going to like see if I can come up with some sort of an option where I can go experience some human stuff without having to jack people around or jack myself around. Maybe I get myself like an aquarium with wheels on it and I can have someone push me around, or like a little motorized thing. You know, there's possibilities. And sometimes when that Ursula comes up to me, I'm like, oh my God, this is my only option, is to do this dramatic, sad thing. And now I'm like, okay, all right, thank you, Ursula, for reminding me that I am not into the shady. Thank you for these little eels that are like your preemptive warning, like, hey, you're going into the shady zone, you don't need to do this. Thank you. That is a very helpful reminder. And that does not ask that person to act any differently. That's the big difference. Like, I'm not asking the script to change. I'm telling a different story about the script, which you can do in every situation. Like, my favorite book, which is Man's Search for Meaning, basically talks about our human capacity to do that. That we can go into a concentration camp, which is the premise of the book, is that it's the experience of this psychiatrist who ended up in a concentration camp during the Holocaust. Him being able to recognize that he could tell a different story. He studied human behavior and psychology while he was there because it was one of the most extreme, unbelievable examples. And he was like, okay, I'm going to take it upon myself to like experience it this way. And he was like, I'm going to write about this. I'm going to learn from this. And so giving it that story, he didn't have to get out of the concentration camp in order to get what he wanted. He made reality work for him. He told the story differently, and then he experienced it differently. Reality didn't need to change. And I think there's a lot of people out here who are like, including me, like, I need this person to go away from my life. I need to have this like number in my bank account. I need to have this car or this house or this job or this whatever. But if I'm not dependent on reality changing, and I'm only dependent on the story that I'm telling about reality, then like that's freedom. I have endless possibilities always. I love it.